Good afternoon. It seems weird not saying good morning. It is September 9th. We are looking at our second science lesson of our COVID shutdown. It's really unusual for me to do science lessons in this format. I kind of got good at, well, not good, but I kind of did a few during spring for reading, so I feel a little more comfortable doing those than I do science. Normally, this first unit of science is what I call my hook unit. This is the unit that when it's all said and done, kids are super excited about science. They love it because there's so many hands-on opportunities as a teacher that I get to be part of with the kids. In this particular format, it's a little different. Got a gnat. We're going to do the best we can with what we've got. I hope you enjoyed the direct inquiry YouTube video that talked about how do you find the volume of an irregular solid. That is definitely one that we would have done if you had been here. We have graduated cylinders. We have Ziploc bags full of things. The snack needs to go away. And we have our sheets where we write our water on, what it was before, what it is after, to find out the volume of that particular piece. And we spend a little time talking about displacement and what does that really truly mean. And so that video seemed to kind of do it for me. And I'll be honest, he's a little more entertaining than I am. So I kind of went with it. So I hope you enjoyed it. Today's, the second part of this lesson though, is our reading in science lesson. Just like in regular reading class, we read different types of materials. You may read an article, you may read magazines, you may read the dictionary, you may read narratives or biographies. So in science, you are using some of those same skills when you're having to read science activities or to record science activities. And what we're going to be looking at today is a reading in science of sequence of events. My oldest son is a doctor in chemical engineering, so he has gone to school for a gazillion years, it seems like now. He's not an official doctor yet. He will be one at Christmas. But one of the things that he says that, he uses over and over and over in the lab is that sequence of events and the importance of keeping those chemicals and jotting down the way that they were introduced into the experiment, so that if the experiment doesn't work the way you want, you know how you did it and in the order that you did it, so that you can go back and change that or tweak that. If you're not paying attention or if you're not recording it just right, then you're doomed to fail it in the same manner over and over and over again. So that's one of the reasons why sequencing is so important in science. Now, in a learning at school class, I would normally say, how do you make a salad? And the kids would be popcorning ideas and I would be writing them on the board, all the things that you need or the things that you do to create this salad. Now, every single year that I've done this little simple activities, every year, kids leave out the most important item. That is not lettuce, it's not cucumber, it is the bowl. And it's just a really good activity, guys, to kind of make you start thinking about what is it that you need. If I take salad and cucumber and tomatoes and those little fried onion bits and I put it all together, but I don't have a bowl, I just got a big old giant mess. So sequencing is really important to determine what do you need first. Then what are you going to do? And then next. And on and on and on and on and on, so that you've got it done systematically that it makes sense. So we have this sequence page, and it is page 365. It is part of your attachments. I'm going to walk you through it, but if you want to read it silently or take a look at it after this class, please do, because there is an activity that you're going to be doing that I'm going to be grading that's based on this. So, now, one of the things that I want us to look at is, I've kind of talked about this first piece already, the importance of understanding how things work in step-by-step procedures. And they're giving me a few clues. It says look for clue words such as first, next, then, after, and finally. And those words signal sequencing changes. Then it says, but some clue words are marked for you in the activity below. And that's what I want you to really be thinking about. It says some. What does that really mean? Do, 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 do. Some means that not all of them are marked and highlighted. So when you're looking at directions, you have to be smart about reading the material carefully, because it says some, not all. So as we're reading through this Finding a Marble's volume, which if we'd done this activity at Learning at School, we would have found the volume of a marble. Some of the clue words are highlighted here. So I'm going to read it through, and I want you to be listening for those sequencing words and or naturally occurring sounds that let you know that something has changed, okay? So, if you don't mind, I'm going to read it from here. It says, first gather these materials, a marble, a graduated cylinder, and some water. Next, put about 50 milliliters of water into the graduated cylinder. Record the exact amount of water. After you place the marble in the water, find and record the new volume. Finally, subtract the original volume of water from the new volume to find the volume of the marble. Now, at the bottom of this page, you're going to see a chart. It says make a graphic organizer like this one. Fill in the steps to show the sequence of events for measuring and finding volume in this activity procedure, okay? Now, they made their boxes almost what I call the train. Now, here's what I say. Let me get that out of my way. I really don't care how you make your boxes. I don't care if you make them side to side or if you make them up and down. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it really doesn't matter to me. As long as the information inside the box is telling me what came first, next, then, and finally. But what I have found over years of doing this is that most of my kids prefer to do it first, next, then, and finally, which is how we are going to do it. So when I read through here, I have my first sequencing word is highlighted, and it says first. And the first thing that it tells me that I need to do is gather materials. So I'm going to gather materials. Okay, that's the first thing. Then I have another highlighted word. That word is next. it says the next thing that I need to do is put about 50 milliliters of water into a cylinder. So I'm going to say put 50 milliliters water cylinder. It's wanting me now to use the sequencing word of then. So I have to do what they're telling me to do. But I do not, in this passage, have a highlighted then. I've got first, next, also. So I'm going to read the sentence between next and after to see if there's a natural place where a then should have been. That would be the sequencing word. Next, put about 50 milliliters of water into the graduated cylinder. And at this next sentence, I'm just going to insert a then to see how that sounds. Then, record the exact amount of water. I think that would sound more natural. So I'm going to say then record water. The next thing it's asking me to do is that finally. Nothing does it tell me to do is with the after. So I gotta leave it. I can't do anything with it because it's not really a sequence of events, okay? So my then would have been the next logical thing. So finally, subtract the original volume of water from the new volume. So I'm gonna say subtract new volume from old volume. Which is exactly what they did in our video. But what I'm wanting you to do or to see is how does that look if you're doing a reading in science and trying to find that, okay? So that's the big piece that we're doing. There is, I think the attachment is there for you to do a reading in science activity, and you're going to be doing sequence of events. If it's not on today's lesson, then it is definitely on tomorrow's. So don't hold me to it, but it's either going to be part of today's assignment or it's going to be part of tomorrow's assignment. Now, you will have to write it all out in your science journal, and you will have pages, that a workbook page, and it will open up like this. So you will see both sides of the page, okay? And so you will have to write your answers in your journals. Then you're going to turn right around and you're going to upload that into Google Classroom, okay? So make sure that you do that. It's either going to be today's or tomorrow's assignment. Year after year after year, I have about a third of my class that does not do well on this activity because they don't look for the, what I call the silent sequencing, like the thens that didn't have a sequence word. They skip those. So not only are you listening or looking for sequencing words, but you're also listening as you're reading to where you have to think, ooh, could I put a sequencing word there? And if you can, then that needs to be part of your steps. All right. See you later, guys.